Hi, I'm Lisette. This is Connie Inukai,
Hi,
grandmapreneur,
Connie.
and I'm so glad to meet you.
Me
Um,
too.
do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. So my name is Amlisette Kidane, and many on social media and business know me as Coach K. And I like to explain a little bit about the two names. So Coach K was a name that was given to me when I first started in the coaching business by a partner consultant who said that he had never seen somebody as commanding as me as a coach. And he started calling me Coach K for my last name, Kidane. And other people started to pick it up and started calling me that. But I'm extremely proud of my actual full birth name. I'm Lisette Kidane. I'm from Eritrea, East Africa. And I am extremely, extremely proud of the rich history that I come from. I have my great grandmother, my grandmother, my mom, and we carry our culture carry it with a lot of pride and sensitivity. So my name is Amla Sekirane, but I go by Coach K.
Okay, and what do you want me to call you during this interview?
And you can call me Coach K if it's easier for you.
I can say Amla said fine.
That's perfect. Yep. You said it. You said it with the right pronunciation. I love it, Connie.
Okay, great. So I'm going to tell you first the reason for this interview.
Okay.
This interview is because I'm a relatively new entrepreneur and I have never had a business coach. And I see all these companies with 6, 7, 8K incomes, and they all, attribute it to having a good business coach. So I said, I think it's about time I hired a business coach. So I didn't know anything about business coaches, nothing. Yeah. So I started doing some research because actually I'm writing an article for Entrepreneur Magazine about coaching. And I decided it's probably a good idea to interview coaches. And there are so many kinds of coaches. And I'm going to ask you a little bit about the kind of coaching that you do, but I kind of am taken by the fact that somebody called you Coach K because you're so commanding. You're a commanding coach.
I'm a commanding coach.
So that's interesting to me.
And I was 26, Connie. So that was even more interesting. And I think he was like 40 something. So to me, that was like, oh, he's so old, but he wasn't. Yeah. So it was very early on. That was my point. Early on.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. So I'm going to interview you. And one of the things I'm going to do with this interview is I'm going to share it on social media so that other coaches, other entrepreneurs that don't have a coach can find a good fit for them.
Good.
So I'm interviewing 15 coaches. So somebody's going to find somebody that's right for them. Well, I'm certainly the luckiest one because I get to interview you all, but I will share all of the interviews.
Excellent. Love it, Connie.
Okay, great. So there are so many kinds of coaches around. Can you tell me what kind of coaching you do?
Great. Thank you, Connie. So I am a success strategist and professional and personal results coach. So my background is in life coaching. I started off as a life coach. I actually also have a master's degree in national security, which is why I'm a success strategist, not just a life coach or coach. I have a specialization in strategy. So that's what I am. I'm a success strategist coach.
Good. And what do you mean by strategy? Well, let me give you an example. Okay. So I'm an inventor and a grandmapreneur.
Right.
So anyway, so then my second project was, it's called Write Your Selfie. And in that project, I'm helping older people who have felt like isolated from their family due to COVID. And they are so anxious to share their story because, we are all affected by, death is imminent, like especially with COVID, we were aware of that. So what I wanted to do is write my story so that after I'm gone, my children, my grandchildren, and future generations will all know about me because nobody's going to know about me unless I tell them.
Absolutely. I love it.
So actually I share to them a little bit of the history of my family, but also a lot of pictures of me growing up so that they can see that grandma used to be a kid once, because they just know me as grandma.
Right.
So actually, one of the things that I did was really fun. I have it's mostly pictures, but I have a little section called namesakes.
Mm-hmm.
And in that section, I talk about how everybody in my family got their name.
That's really good.
Yeah. And so we are, I come from, my family is Jewish. And in Judaism, usually people are named after somebody who died that you want to remember. So everybody is named after somebody who we want to remember, like grandparents or great grandparents. It doesn't usually go back before that.
Yeah.
So actually, my name is Connie.
Mm-hmm.
And I write down in my book, my name is Connie. It's not a Jewish name. And here's how I got that name. My mother named my older sister Sharon and told my dad that he could choose my name. He chose Francis. When my mom asked my dad where he got that name, he said it was his old girlfriend. So mom was furious and looked at the nurse's badge, and her name was Connie. And that's how I got my name.
You have the funniest stories. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I have another story about names. I'm going to just talk one more little story.
I love it.
That is when I was growing up, we had a boat, and there were 5 children and my parents. And my dad's name was David, and my mom's name was Rebecca. So we called our boat Dr. Skakel. That's David, Rebecca, Sharon, Connie, Arthur, Chucky, Louie. SCACL, Dr. Skakel. And then when they had one more baby, we didn't want to change the name of the boat. So we all took a vote and called him Eddie. So that the E would not change the name of our boat. We just added it on to the end of our boat.
You have the funniest stories.
Yeah, I tell a lot of stories about me growing up. Yeah, well, actually, this is my book, and I want my kids, my grandkids, to know that I existed, because nobody's going to tell them unless me. So before I get on to my story, tell me a little bit about your story. You said you have a rich history.
I do. So I'm from Eritrea, East Africa. This is the border of the Red Sea, across from the Middle East. Sometimes I have to explain all the way below Egypt, next to Somalia and Ethiopia. And I came here when I was 5 years old with my little brother and my mom being pregnant with my other brother and my parents. And my parents didn't want to leave Eritrea, but it was in war with Ethiopia, a neighboring country. It's a very long history of how we got into that conflict. But my dad was in the military, and he just felt it was unsafe for us to stay, and we migrated to the U.S. And what I was saying was about the rich history is one of the things my parents made a very big deal about is early on from elementary school that we had to know pretty much everything about where we came from Eritrea, and then the history behind the country, and then why we were in conflict. I mean, so we knew a lot of things at a young age about the richness and then also the ancestry. So my dad, he could name 9 generations at least. And the only reason it doesn't even go further than that is because the books that they had it in burned in the war. So from what his father gave him, and we don't have that anymore. But I think if I could do a little more digging, I probably could find out even more. We can go further in the lineage. And I was saying that, I come from a strong line of women. I have my great grandmother, my grandmother, why this is your book fascinates me, because it's something we need before, there's too many stories that she may die with, and my other grandmother also may die with, that we would just never know. You make me laugh like that. I think like, oh my goodness, look all the stories I'm going to be missing. And
yeah, well, it's not too late.
It's not. I know. You told me. I know. So because I told you I have to call internationally, and I have to get a language, like my mom or somebody to kind of do the language translation on, all my questions and things. Like I speak, but not to the point fluent enough to get all of it interpreted clearly. But my point was, even like for the women in my family, many women in our country, they fought on the battlefield. I know in the U.S. it's a very big deal that for women to go to war, not go to war. But like Israel, women in Eritrea actually fought in all of the wars that we've had, most of the wars that we've had. And from that comes a lot of strength, but also the idea of equality and that women can do things and they're not just going to sit at home. And so I like to lean into the strength of my ancestors, particularly the women. I believe that we come from butt-kicking women, and it's a tribute to my great grandmother. You could sit here and ask her questions, and she's bright as a 30-year-old. She's lights are on. She tells her daughter, my grandmother, she tells her to go to bed. She's like, listen, you're getting tired. You go to bed. Which made me laugh so much.
This is such a wonderful project to do with a family. And
I'm your ideal client, Connie. I'm your ideal client.
You actually don't need me. You can do it without me. But what I did is I developed a course where people can be accountable and they can finish that story in 6 weeks.
And that's why I can see the meaning of what the work that you're doing. And I know you say that we don't need you, but I actually think we do, because think about it. The only reason it's not getting done is because it's not front of mind. There's no accountability. We're in a fast-paced society, and people of my generation, all they know is about moving and shaking and trying to make another dollar and do things with their young kids and get into the hustle bustle. And I live in the DC area, and you can see how people don't slow down enough to think about something as important as saving those memories and doing it while your grandparents are actually alive, which is very critical, because you not only get the book, but you get the communication process and the journey.
Exactly.
You get what you're doing. I think my community would absolutely love it, because in African culture, we're very much about preserving history, preserving your ancestry, your heritage, your culture, where you come from really matters. And when we have these grandparents back at home and we're not actually taking the time to get to know them and the stories, I'm probably missing 101 beautiful stories that my daughters, who are 4 and 2, are not going to know about, and I won't know about. So I definitely see the value.
And they are so anxious to tell their story.
Yeah,
I know.
Believe that.
They are so anxious to share all their adventures and their experiences with you.
Yes, and someone to take an interest in that. And I don't think you take enough time to take interest in it.
Okay, so let me ask you one question, because this is a long lead up to my actual question.
I told you I love talking to you.
This is an actual lead up to my question. Is you said you develop a strategy.
Yes.
Can you give me just a very short strategy of what you would suggest for me? I mean, I haven't given you any notice on this.
I know, that's okay. So, Connie, I think we touched a little bit, but not too much in terms of for your selfie book. Right. And so I think one of the things, because you have so many great things working, one of the things I would want to start with, if it was me coaching you in general, even though I think there's more that you need beyond, but I would start with what does success look like? I really, really would like to drill down to understand Connie's idea of success, because I think you may be surprised at what you really want out of this versus what you might think you will get from coaching or business coaching or these other things. So one is determining what is it you actually think success is for you and this selfie product, what you're doing with it. One of the senses I get from just talking to you is you enjoy the process as much as you enjoy the outcome and the product that you have. And you enjoy the idea of getting others to go through that same process to then have that product at the end. I see a couple things that you will need. One, I think I made that suggestion prior in terms of you have a good product, you have a good message, you even have social media management happening. But what you don't have is you really don't have a marketing strategy in order to figure out what your ideal client is and where these people are. That gap there, that big gap between you and them is the problem. Having someone manage and message and do things on social media is not necessarily a strategy. and it won't necessarily connect you with those people. So there's that gap. And that's where I think that you definitely need help. But also, even let's say we figure out that gap and we figure out who your ideal person is, I still think the overarching situation for you of figuring out is more so what success looks like. So we have to look at success in terms of the product, the financials, how much do you really care about making money versus the journey that you're on? And are you already successful and you're looking for another piece to add to this? Or do you really think that that this product is not succeeding? And then if you're saying, okay, I want to make money from it, do we see the CEO Connie or do we see the inventor Connie? I think you're in inventor mode, not in CEO mode, based on all the observations I've had in contact. So I'll stop there because honestly, we would have to have a relationship to really get deeper into it.
Exactly.
But I can see where I can see where the gaps are just from my experience in working with clients. And a big part, and that's what I love about doing strategic coaching, is even the parts where I was saying what resources you need, that's good strategic work. When you can tell the person what they need to leverage. You're kind of solo right now. You don't have the support either. Exactly. And you need the right fit and the right support.
Exactly. That's why I decided to do this, because I know I need support. Mm-hmm. And lucky me gets to meet lucky you. Lucky me gets to interview people and ask you specific questions and get answers. And I am purely into giving mode because I want to share you with other people so that they can find out, what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you have been really helpful. Are there some words of wisdom, excuse me, are there some words of wisdom that you would want to give to a person thinking about hiring a coach?
Yes, I would, because especially now with social media, I think it's muddied the waters for people. It's very hard to figure out. There's a lot of people who coach or say they coach, and there's a range on what that looks like. And so number one thing I would say is do your homework, create a criteria, make a list of what it is you're looking for in a coach. And specifically, what does coaching look like to you? Because the definition of what coaching actually is and what you might want. So for example, this person might say, I'm a coach, but they're really a mentor. And you're really looking for a coach. And I've seen clients go through this problem. And they get into a discovery call and they're starting to realize that, or they don't realize. Some of them realize it, some of them don't. They don't realize, it's a bigger problem if they don't realize it, but that the person who's saying, I'm going to coach you, isn't really offering coaching. They're offering everything else but that. And then unfortunately, coaching is not cheap. You spend a lot of money, you get into it, and then you realize you're not getting what you actually asked for. And the person is doing other types of skills or lack thereof. And so I would say, do your homework, write a criteria, exactly what you're looking for in a coach, have a budget, what you're willing to spend. Don't become too willy-nilly about, if you really can't afford it, don't do it. Because this is one of the big things that I usually say is, you don't go into coaching and get into debt. That doesn't make you successful. A good coach is not going to put you into debt. So the goal is, but you can invest. If you see that by investing in this coaching, I'm going to make this much money or I'm going to get this much out of it, then it's worth it. It may set you back a little, but don't put yourself into complete debt with no kind of benefit from it. So I would say, look for the match too. In a discovery call, the goal is to figure out, is this a fit? Sometimes it's not a fit. And sometimes I'll tell the person, this is not a fit. And I'm okay with that. I can recommend you to someone else. Here you go. Good coaches will do that. Bad coaches will take you regardless whether they think you're a fit or not, because it's very financially driven.
You are amazing and very honest. And I am
very honest.
I know. Before I go, I'm going to ask you for your contact information so people who view this can find out exactly how to reach you. Because I know how to reach you, but I want everyone to know how to reach you.
Absolutely.
So what is your website?
The best way to contact me, and I'm restructuring my website, and that's a long story, but the best way to contact me is on my Instagram, and I have my link on Instagram. If you put your contact information there on the link, then I will contact you.
Okay, great. Well, then I'll put that on this video. I'll
Perfect.
just add
Yeah,
your
just put that
Instagram.
link. Yep. Mhm.
Anyway, thank you so much. This was such an amazing call, and I'm so glad that we got to talk.